may not have thought of is that there's a lot of people who can't move on this, because that's the people who've transitioned their own children. So those people are going to be like, the Japanese soldiers who were on Pacific Islands and didn't know the war was over.
Right.
They've got to fight forever. This is another reason why this is the worst social contagion that we'll ever have experienced. A lot of people have done the worst thing that you could do, which is to harm their children irrevocably because of it. Those people will have to believe that they did the right thing for the rest of their lives, for their own sanity and for their own self-respect. So they'll still be fighting. And each one of those people destroys entire organizations and entire friendship groups. Like, I've lost count of the number of times that somebody has said to me of a specific organization that has got turned upside down on this. Oh, the deputy director has a trans child, or, oh, the journalist on that paper who does special investigations has a trans child, or whatever. The entire organization gets paralyzed by that one person. And it may not even be widely known at the organization that they have a trans child, but it will come out. Like, people will have sort of said it quietly, and now you can't talk truth in front of that person, and you can't. Because what you're saying is, you as a parent have done a truly, human rights abuse level of awful thing to your child that cannot be fixed. There are specific individuals who are really actively against women's rights here, and it's not known why they are, but I happen to know through the back channels that it's because they've trans their child. And so those people will do anything for the entire rest of their lives to destroy me and people like me, because people like me are a standing reproach to them. I don't want to be. I'm not talking directly to them. I don't spend my time about them. But the fact is that just simply by saying we will never accept natal males in women's spaces, well, it's their son that we're talking about. And they've told their son that he can get himself sterilized and destroy his sexual function, and women will accept him as a woman. And if we don't, there's no way back for them and their child. They've sold their child a bill of goods that they can't deliver on. And I'm the one who has to be bullied to try to force me to deliver on it. So those people are going to be the people who will keep this bloody movement going, I'm sorry to say, because they've everything to lose. And it's a fight to the death as far as they're concerned.
In a weird way, I don't blame them. I don't blame them for being unable to wrap your head around the fact that you've dismembered your child. Like, what a horrific thing you've done, you dummy. And the brainwashing thing, and I was told it was the right thing to do, and the LGBTQ community told me that she'd commit suicide if we didn't do it. Yeah, sorry. That's not an excuse. You can't drive till you're 16. You can't vote till you're 18. You can't get a tattoo till you're 18. But you can have your cut off if they put you in a bad mood, allegedly. Think of all the dumb things teenagers are, like goths and punks. Mm-hmm. Here's some good news. A dad murders a that kidnapped his daughter. That's always nice to see. Arkansas father arrested after allegedly... Wait, go up?
Yeah.
Found missing after killing the man he found with his missing 14-year-old daughter. You know what's funny? Here's another thing, just like that stat about the black women who die from white doctors. There's a stat about missing white women, like Lacey Peterson, or that girl, what the fuck's her name? It's an Italian, Paloma or whatever, the girl who was in the van life.
What's the name?
Who was murdered.
Gabby Petito.
There's the whole world stops for those two, but black and indigenous women go missing at a far higher rate. Yeah, they do. You know why no one goes crazy? Because their communities tend to not give a shit. Like Gabby Petito, her stepdad and her biological mom and her biological dad and her stepmom went absolutely mental when she was missing. They posted all over town. They went door to door. They wouldn't drop it. Eventually the news caught on as a thing. They kept nagging the news. They did news reports. Their whole community banded together. When an Indian girl on the res disappears, you tend to not have that kind of support. They don't go door to door. They don't even leave the res. And when black girls disappear, they're like, oh, well, the immediate family's probably very upset, but it's not a community thing. So black people on TV, the pundits on shows, love to talk about that like it's my fault. It's actually your fault. It's that community's fault for not taking these missing women more seriously. It's I don't know how to say it on CNN. If you're Scott, what's his name? Richardson? Whatever that guy's name is. I don't know how you phrase that. You can't say, well, it's your fault. Your communities don't give a shit. That's how I would say it, and I'd be kicked off the show forever. But I guess you would say the problem with that statistic is it doesn't reflect the lack of support in these communities when someone's missing. Say it somewhat like that. But yeah, that's the unfortunate truth. Anyway, that video doesn't correspond to this. Maybe if we scroll down, we'll get something.
Hi, this is Anthony Cumia.
And hello, I am Gavin McInnes.
Together, we're Compound Censored.
And we'd like you to subscribe to our network that has more fantastic content you could shake a stick at. Use this promo code for a one-time super offer.
Do it. It's uncensored and oh so entertaining.
There he goes. That's our hero. Keep going. Oh, I was wondering what police are. Thanks for that. I want to see the guy.
More.
This is my new pet peeve. Photos of police cars. If you want to illustrate crime, just show a siren. You know, I learned that when I was in college. Our professor, Marvin Glass, burnt his office down because he was a chain smoker. Here, look up that guy on Twitter, and of course, we'll get way more information. And we'll probably see the perp, too, and the girl. I told you this, right? I drew a picture of him with the Bolsheviks, and they were in an ashtray, and he was playing with Bolshevik action figures because he was the head of the Canadian Communist Party while his ashtray was on fire. And they go, you can't do that. It makes Marvin Glass look like it was his fault, and we're not sure about that. Okay, the newspaper was called The Charlatan. That means the trickster. Can we have a sense of humor, please? I looked up old issues when I worked there, and there was like an editor, and this editor photo was a car and balls with sunglasses on. And that was from like the 70s. Can we go back to that, please? Can we make Canada great again? And eventually I just did an ashtray, and they said, nope, that still makes Marvin culpable. He's dead now. And eventually, guess what my illustration was? I was a cartoonist at the time. I drew fire, just in case you don't know what fire looks like. And here we have police cars to illustrate crimes. They show a f***ing siren. You're not helping. That's one good thing about the Daily Mail. When you look up an article with them, they dig up every Facebook picture. You're inundated with images. But Fox's legal team are probably mostly female. You got anything?
No, not really. There's other
talking
articles
about
I
loser.
can't find.
You put in the name Aaron Spencer
In Arkansas,
in quotes. You go to Twitter, then in the search, you just put in quote Aaron Spencer, end of quotes, and what do you get? Oh, okay. I guess there's too many Aaron Spencers. You look up Pat, throw Pat in the mix, and I get the article. I get the guy holding some turkeys. He's a military vet,
that one, yeah.
and he killed 67-year-old Michael Fossler, whoever that is. I want to see Michael Fossler, please. I see a lot of this guy looking sad, probably because he knows he's going to jail. I think this guy should go to jail. He should go to jail for over an hour. He should be denied beer for 2 days, and he should have to pick up garbage by the side of the highway for 80 minutes. Michael Fossler, let's look him up. If they hide his face, I'll be pissed off. You still haven't... How am I better than you at this?
God.
Michael Fossler. Okay, not seeing him, unfortunately. That sucks. That's one of the first times I've looked up someone on Twitter and not gotten their face. But we have this awesome dude who kicks ass and takes names. Okay, last one here. No, maybe not the last one. I'm actually happy God brought us here. This is fun. Well, not fun, but meaningful. 4-year-old shoots himself. Mother's arrested. The media will probably use a picture. Oh, I think they did use a picture of like a white hand. This is what Anthony and I were talking about last week, where most kids who get killed by guns are black and Hispanic, and it's because some ghetto thug leaves his handgun lying around. And the media always shows a white hand. Why? Well, a million reasons, but one of the reasons we overlook is people are eating dinner when they watch the news and they literally cannot stomach it. They get sick. So we have to say black crime isn't really bad. Don't get depressed or we won't sell ads. The beauty of this show is we don't care if you get depressed.
Information just into our newsroom tonight about a 4-year-old boy who was injured after police say he shot himself.
Sacramento police announced just moments ago that the child is expected to survive, and the child's mother is now under arrest.
Police say 26-year-old Letitia Walker has been booked on a number of charges, including criminal storage of a firearm and the endangerment of the life of a child.
The shooting was in the parking lot of a business on Mack Road and Franklin Boulevard. KCRA3's Peyton Headley talked to a witness who jumped in to help.
19-year-old Shinice Cordoba was getting her nails done Friday afternoon when she heard yelling.
So I ran out and I just saw him on the ground.
Just outside of this car, she says she saw a little boy who had been shot in the stomach, so she ran over to help.
And he wanted me to pick him up, but I had to reassure him and tell him, no, you can't get up, you have to stay here. And we talked about Paw Patrol and how old he was and stuff.
She says they also talked about what happened.
All he kept saying was he shot himself. He was like, I shot myself, I shot myself. I was like, that's okay, it's okay, I got you.
Officers can't say how the 4-year-old got a hold of a gun or if he was alone, but they did say it happened inside of the car. Cordoba and other witnesses told KCRA3 the boy's mother was picking up food from this restaurant and left him in the car.
I think she was shocked and sad, and then she's like, oh, like what's gonna happen and stuff like that. But she did care. I did see.
What's going to happen to me?
Even in a tense situation, Cordoba says she wasn't scared to help the boy. It's something she's passionate about.
And I want to be a doctor, and I just was like, okay, he's a little boy, and my siblings are like.
Isn't it interesting that they show Shy Nice? Shy Nice.
Yeah.
They show her, but when it's time to show the perp's face, they just show a police shield. Again, they're just trying to sell you they don't want to give you the hard truth because it's going to freak you out. Okay, last one, how Adderall and ADHD work. First, we'll say that boys are overprescribed ADHD meds because most teachers are women and don't understand that boys aren't meant to be held in a room doing bullshit for 6 to 8 hours. This is something I've been screaming for years. However, I think there's a genetic trait that doesn't serve a purpose with post-industrial society they call attention deficit disorder. They are creative and curious, and this is why amphetamines, quote-unquote, slow them down. It replaces dopamine and norepinephrine they get from creativity and curiosity. The corporate environment hates anyone not working their way up to the executive level that show creativity and curiosity. And after that, it's how creative can you be within the overall vision of X corporation? How curious are you to discover new channels to earn money from user data? How can you create UX that brings more Google AdSense? Adderall is prescribed to get more people in the workforce. I think you're giving them too much credit, but okay. This is a letter we got because I was a long time ago about kids on Adderall and how much I hate it. To someone prescribed Adderall, sure, they feel high for a couple weeks, but then don't feel it because their dopamine, norepinephrine. Okay, I got to look up that word here. I'm writing this letter that seems very important. You're on speed. Pronounce. Go ahead. Norepinephrine. Sounds like a black woman's name. It's the same reason cocaine and alcohol users eventually need more for the same high. The prescription Adderall user having their daily dose don't get a flood of dopamine, blah, 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 blah. You get high if you take Adderall bump because you aren't given or limited precise dose, blah, 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 blah. People who don't take a steady dose daily, it's weaker, slower absorbed version of what was called speed back when Twiggy was the it girl. Recreationally, it keeps you awake, makes you chatty, gives you false confidence, keeps you from eating, improves some cognitive function, and keeps a drinking session going, and with enough can bring you to a point of psychosis. A regular prescribed Adderall user doesn't get any of that unless they double their dose. Okay, speed and meth are now synonymous. I've heard you say Adderall is meth. There's a very minuscule molecular difference with meth. I'm aware. Boop-a-doop-a-doo, average hit, the Adderall meth. Okay, this guy is writing like he's on Adderall. The Adderall is meth bullshit came from Dr. Carl Hart, featured by your alma mater Vice in 2016, because he says methamphetamines and amphetamines are almost identical. So Adderall is meth. Carl also wrote a book, Drug Use for Grown-Ups. But for further insight, Brave Browser's AI search summary is amazing. According to various sources, Carl Hart, a neuroscientist, has publicly disclosed his personal use of heroin. In his book, Drug Use for Grown-Ups, Hart shares his experiences as a recreational heroin user. He describes enjoying heroin by the fireplace, saying that helps him unwind. Additionally, Hart has mentioned using heroin in media and interviews. I remember I met this guy on Fox once. For instance, in 2021, he revealed that he was on heroin when he delivered a TED Med talk and that he's given some of his best interviews on the drug. It's essential to note that Hart's openness about his heroin use is part of his broader argument for reevaluating drug policies. As a researcher and advocate, Hart aims to promote a more nuanced understanding of drug use, blah, 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 blah. This is the heroin-addicted diversity hire that Vice helped push. Adderall is meth. The overall point of the article appearing to be getting people to say it's just meth. It's total black genius says, do heroin before you... Could you even imagine being able to relax by a fireplace on heroin? What? Of course I could. Could you get this guy on the show before his eyes turn yellow? So yeah, it's not literally heroin, but it's incredibly close. But this guy has a big problem with that differentiation. The methyl group attached to the nitrogen in the amphetamine molecule makes it 5 times more potent per weight and more rapidly absorbed, meaning a near instant 5 times. So he's saying, you keep saying Adderall is meth, but it's actually meth is 5 times stronger than meth. Okay, I gotcha. But I don't want kids doing a drug that is even 1/5 as intense as meth. And you, sir, judging by your email, need to take it easy on the Adderall, for sakes.
So, if you enjoyed that clip,
then subscribe to Compound Censored using this promo code.